coming today. I know you're going to enjoy this a lot. You're going to get a lot of information from it. That is the topic of our discussion, right? That's like the doctors, the medical community, have started to figure out in the last few decades that people sit so much that it's almost as bad as people who were smoking. You know, years ago, smoking was the bad thing. So if I just say, you know, smoking's bad, you know that, you shouldn't do it, then the class is over, right? If I do the same thing with sitting and I just say, sitting's not that good, you shouldn't do it as much as you are. Okay, class over. Why'd you spend 35 bucks, right? What am I getting out of that? So I gotta explain a bit more.
That's not happening, you know. I don't know if I'm supposed to be seeing you there or not.
It goes into
It goes in and out?
Quiet. It's recording, but it doesn't have all the lights on it, so it doesn't keep distracting you to, yeah. So it's all good. And then I got another one over there just in case one doesn't work. This is my little fancy thing that advances the frames. So when I do these discussions, I ask you to engage with what I'm talking about. It's not just me lecturing you and talking. It's like if you have a question on something, like, hey, who does this graphics, Jim? So I do the graphics. I do my own artwork. That's one of my other superpowers. So when I do these discussions, though, it's two ways. So ask questions or comment as you may, right? So just to give you a little background, I am 61. This week I turned 61. I started doing all this fitness and exercise when I was around 16. Running, weightlifting, all that kind of stuff, swimming. And then I started to get involved with martial arts because I really wanted to do something more challenging and I needed to get out of the house because my folks were kind of having some parenting and marital issues. So I went to this martial arts school and it was really cool because not only was I learning how to defend myself, I was learning fitness and how to be mentally strong and relieve stress, tension, right? So all tension and stress I got from my folks, I'd go relieve it going to the martial arts classes. I hope that's not going to continue. Weed whacker thing. Okay, it stopped. So as the years went on, you know, I'm teaching martial arts and fitness, but I'm young, so people aren't really as receptive to it because it's like, well, you're a young guy, you should be able to do that stuff. You're in good shape, you're young and all that. So now I'm 61. Now I'm actually starting to get more of an audience to talk about the fitness aspects, you know, mental fitness and physical fitness, because I've been doing it for a good chunk of my life. So as before, it's like, you know, everybody's in good shape when they're 20 and 30. Nobody plans to be in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, however old you folks might be, thinking that you're not going to be as mobile or as active or as healthy as you used to be. So that is the topic of discussion, right? And to add on it, we're going to continue, okay? So there's a lot of statistics. I don't get caught up because I can't remember all those numbers as much anymore. But in general, for about every 2 hours that you sit, you got to get up. You know, if you're watching a television show, they're an hour long, get up. Get up in between the shows or whatever. But if you're sitting for more than 2 hours, that's when you really start having effects. That it's going to either start you to become, you know, overweight, obese, or your circulation is not as good, so you start to have heart issues and diabetes. So these things are all connected to sitting in that chair. And if you notice, over the last couple of decades, chairs have gotten actually really comfortable. Remember back in the day, you had an old wooden chair at the house or wherever, it wasn't that comfortable. Then they came up with these cushy recliners, massage and stuff. They've made it so you don't want to get out of the chair. So it's actually more of an effort these days to get out of the chair. So that just those different graphics of people sitting more often, people are on their phone more often. So this is that nice race car, like you. Picture yourself being this nice race car, and it's in mint condition. Tires are perfect, interior doesn't smell or anything. You know, it's just a really nice car. But you're afraid to go out. You know, you look out the window, it looks beautiful. It's like, why don't I just go out and take the car on the road? So what ends up happening, the car sits in the garage, and any of the materials in the car start to deteriorate. The rubber gets stiff, the hoses get dry, the gasoline starts to turn bad, right? That's us. If you're not moving the body, other than your heart beating, the body needs movement. If you don't move your legs, the waste product, the lymph in your body doesn't move. If you don't move your spine up and down, side to side with a little bit of twisting, the spinal fluid doesn't get as much circulation to your brain. And that's starting to become an issue now because more and more research is coming out on Alzheimer's disease being affected by lack of physical movement. So all these things connect. Get your car out of the garage. And then at least you know, if you take the car out and the tires are bald, you'll find out, right? But if you don't get out, you just kind of assume everything's pretty and beautiful and it's in the garage. We're kind of like a car, okay? You got to get it on the road to see if it's actually in good shape. Any questions? Everybody's paying attention? This is good? It's easy stuff, right? Not that hard to figure out. So again, here's all these different statistics that really is kind of frightening when you start looking at it. It's, oh my gosh, if I sit in a chair, I have a 147% increase of having a heart attack, cardiovascular event. You can look at this stuff. I find it depressing, but you got to know it. It's what's happening. The more people are sitting in a chair, it's affecting various different aspects of their health. We'll kind of hit on some of these as we keep going. So in the medical community these days, they're starting to promote a bit more what's called the 5 pillars of health. And sometimes they'll call it 6 or 7 or 8 because they keep adding different things that affect your health and wellness. Well, let's say 5. These are the things that you can affect you on a daily basis. What you eat, what you do for movement, what you're thinking about with your stress, how you sleep, what time you go to bed, if you fall asleep with the TV on, all that kind of stuff, and then your social relationships. Hopefully some of these things get us out of the chair. If you don't have anything to look forward to, why get up, right? You got to have a purpose to get out of the chair every day. So these things all are kind of a circle, a vicious circle. Each one affects the other. If you sit for a long time, you're probably not going to have as many people around. Unless you have a sitting club, some people do that, book club, dining club, you're sitting together in a group. But if you're by yourself at your house, chances are you're going to be by yourself, right? People that are sitting more are indoors more. You came out to sit down. Nobody wants to do my class standing, right? You guys are going to sit down when you go to different activities. But a lot of times if you're indoors, you're sitting. If you're sitting more, less physical activity. Less physical activity, lower immune system.
I love the cartoon.
Yeah. So this stuff kind of makes sense, right? If you're not moving, it's going to affect all these different aspects of your life. So the death begins in the big toe. It's kind of a little saying that people in the traditional Chinese medicine or Eastern thought. It's like if you stub your toe, there's a good chance you're going to injure some other part of your body. That I hurt my toe, then maybe you fall, you stumble into something. Or if some part of your foot doesn't get healthy, because you injured it, chances are you're not going to be as mobile. Can't get around. My foot hurts. My big toe hurts. Can't get around. So it's just a kind of a cliche or a philosophy in that if you injure your feet, one small thing can affect your whole health. Sometimes people have a headache. Hey there. Come on in. Join the club. You have a headache. Okay, now there's a reason not to go out of the house. Small thing, but it affects your whole day. You bump your elbow. It's like, oh, I can't cook dinner tonight. All these different things. Small things affect bigger things. So traditional Chinese medicine, I don't know if you folks have heard of this before. That's what this guy's here for. His name is Biff. He's my best friend forever. So all these different lines on here, again, I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but the theory is that it's energy that flows through your body. You have electricity that goes through your nervous system. You have water that goes through your blood, blood and bodily fluids. And then in traditional Chinese medicine, they look at it as energy. This is a little toy that children often play with, but architects and scientists love it too. It's called a tensegrity model. And if I pull any one part, the other parts are affected and pulled too. And that's what that means. With the meridians and the energy, if one part of your body has a blockage, it's going to affect some other part of your body. If you have an electrical system in your house and you blow a fuse, that one fuse blows or the breaker blows, but it's going to affect other parts of the house too. It's not just at the panel, right? So as we continue with this, another thing about your feet and moving them, that's your structure. If you have weak ankles, your toes don't move, it's really hard for you to adjust and balance, hard to get up and move around. So again, it's another reason why people might not be as prone to get up and do physical activity. Some of these things you probably know a bit more than I do. You might have fallen, you might have fractured something, but if people fall one time, chances are they'll be at a higher risk to fall again. It's almost like the body remembers. It's like, oh, I just fell over that thing. You'll remember that you can do it again, and it keeps happening. So again, if you get up and you're more active, chances are you're going to have better balance, stability, strength. You might not fall. Or if you do fall, if you're active, your body's probably going to heal better than if you're just sedentary most of the time. Any questions so far? You guys are just absorbing this like you're in high school, sitting at the desk and learning, just taking it all in. All good? Let's keep going. So our feet, the different surfaces of our feet, you got the toes, you got the ball of your foot, you got your heel, you got the arch. You're familiar with these spots. Most of the time people do not exercise their feet. They walk, they run, they lift weights, but they don't do anything specific to go up on the ball of their foot or their heel or the sides. Consequently, their bones in their feet are more brittle and the muscles are stiffer. So when we start doing some of the exercise, which I know you all want to get involved and do some exercises today, I'm going to show you how to move the ball of your foot. You can even do it sitting. Standing is better, but you can do it sitting in the chair. This is why it's so important to move your toes and your ankles. Aside from your toes and the ankles, your calf moves when you move your toes and ankles. Your calf is another way of promoting circulation in your body. You got the heart up here, the one that everybody knows about, the heart muscle, right? Then you have your diaphragm, which is when you breathe deep, that helps more circulation. Then you got your calves. So you have 3 different ways that your heart can pump the blood and oxygen throughout your body. It's called the calf muscle pump. Each time you walk, it helps push the blood up the body. Okay, let's keep going. The kinetic chain.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah, definitely.
When you walk, you make sure that your heels touch first.
When you have shoes on, you walk with your heel to your ball of your foot. No shoes on, pretty much the same. All right? And that's getting that calf to move. Pretty much has to move because it's making your foot propel you forward. I love these shoes. They slide on, they slide off, and then if I want, I hook the heel back on. Very comfortable. The kinetic linking is back to that little model, like one part pulls, the other part pulls. If you end up injuring your hip, say you fell, it's going to affect your whole body, right? But also down the road, your body's going to adjust to that injury, and then your spine might get out of whack a little bit. Now I have a neck problem. So each joint can affect the next one, and sometimes it's 2 up. So your hips, instead of affecting your shoulders, it might be your neck. Or if you hurt your foot, it might not go to your knee, it might go to your hip. One way or another, it's going to affect other joints in the body. So again, you got to keep active, got to keep moving. We have turned into a society where a lot of the jobs require us to sit. Less time on our feet, not as many manufacturing jobs. We keep hearing all this stuff in the news. A lot of people sit for a good 8-9 hours of their day, making them slouch. So now they're having posture problems and back issues. A lot of people in the U.S. have back problems. It's like 80% of the people live in the United States. At some point in their life, they're going to have a back problem. If you sit and you have good posture, but you're sitting too stiff, that has another set of problems. Now you're so stiff that you can't touch your toes. So your flexibility is not there. You're not, again, as mobile. So too much of either one is not the best. And this is what happens when we sit too much. There's an imbalance between the back muscles and the stomach, and then between the front of your legs and the back of your legs. Any one of them that's out of balance will affect the other one. You'll see sometimes people that do have good posture, say they're standing upright, it almost starts to become too much, and they start to arch too far forward. That's not good either. So keeping them in balance, how do you do that? You got to do some kind of exercise. Me, personally, I enjoy the Tai Chi in the qigong, yoga, those type of exercises, because they're not as impactive. You know, they don't put as much force on the joints. But you can find whatever works for you: swimming, running, walking, whatever your favorite exercise is that you will do consistently. That's the best one that you should do. I can offer suggestions for other things, but really it comes down to what do you want to do to keep you active. So if you look at all the muscles as basically pulleys, we'll go back to that last one. It's a pulley. When your muscles on the front are tight, it's going to stretch on the back. Your muscles on the front are loose, the back is also loose. They work together like a pulley. They're going to push and pull as you move your body. And that's why, again, sometimes we get out of balance. Again, just another graphic of how things kind of get out of whack. So far left, that's the person who has the back and he's slouching. He or she, whoever. Middle one is good posture. The one going the other direction on the right there, it's too much posture, too much arch. Sitting on a wallet. Sitting on a wallet is the equivalent to carrying a purse. You know, men would sit on their rear end with a wallet, and it would give them an extra inch or two, throwing their hips out of whack, and then their spine's out of whack. Next thing, they have a neck issue, not just their back. Women with the purse, sometimes you're carrying a couple pounds on one side, it's going to throw your spine out of alignment. So it only takes about, a little bit over 1/4 of an inch, 0.275 of an inch. That's only a minuscule amount that can get your back out of whack. So think about how much a wallet or a purse does. So again, it's just kind of a combination of the different graphics put together, showing you how each joint affects one another. If any of these you need, time to watch or read, let me know. Keep going through these. Some of you are aware of this, that each of the different vertebrae has a connection with the nerves. Those nerves connect to different parts of the body. So if you have neck issues, the top couple vertebrae, there's a good chance that the nerves are going to be affected that affect your shoulders. So your neck is going to affect your shoulders. The middle of your back, the thoracic area, those parts of the vertebrae affect your internal organs. So if you got a back injury in between your shoulder blades, it might be affecting some other part of your body, such as your lungs. Your lower back, aside from it hurting, my lower back hurts, that's going to affect your digestion, the bladder, sciatic problems that go all the way down. Traditional Chinese medicine looks at it pretty much the same way. Instead of it being the nerves of the spine, they'll look at it as pressure points. So if you've ever gone to a chiropractor, yes, acupuncturist, sometimes they do massage on the back, and then you feel better from it, right? It's like, some pain went away. But oftentimes it isn't just the pain in that region, it's affecting somewhere else. Here's our balance, our symmetry. Most people would like to think that everything is equal. When I stand, I have a tendency to lean a little bit towards my right hip. That shifts my spine out of whack. When people drive, put your arm up on the window, that throws your spine out of whack when you're driving. People carrying their child, you got to contort your body to be balanced to hold the child. All these different things are typical to what throw our posture off, our spine. And it's usually not a big deal up until our 20s, mid-20s, going towards 30. But then as you get older, obviously you all know these things do affect us quite a bit as we get older. So if you look at your feet as being your root, your feet are good, your feet are healthy, they're in good shape, I can move them. That's our foundation. You work your way up, your waist is the trunk of a tree. Still got to have some strength and good health in the torso. Your arms and hands are like the branches of a tree. Well, guess what? Branches on a tree break and they fall and the leaves come and go. You injure your hands, your arms, your shoulders, it's not going to affect your overall health nearly as much as if you injure your torso or the lower body, which gets you out of the chair. Lymphatic system. If you don't move your body does not remove the lymph. Lymph is the waste products that's produced throughout your body. As cells deteriorate and the body heals itself. Cerebral spinal fluid flows through the brain. If you do not move your body, you do not move your back, your spine, that fluid does not move as well. And that's what I was talking about a little bit earlier, is the Alzheimer's disease, they're starting to see more of a connection with lack of cerebral spinal fluid circulation to the brain. How do you move your spine? You can run, you can walk, that's moving your arms and your legs. Your spine doesn't get that much activity. Tai Chi, yoga, Pilates, gentle stretching, those are ways that you can get your spine to move. Movement of the head. Anything that gets your head moving is really good for getting that cerebral spinal fluid moving. What else helps with that is sleep. When you sleep, your body knows it's time to clean house, and that blood flow when you're horizontal, not the blood flow, the cerebral spinal fluid flows more easily when you're horizontal. And you're asleep, your body's more relaxed, the brain cleans itself with that fluid. So these are just different ways, different yoga exercises and some Pilates type exercises and martial arts exercises. At the bottom, some people look at it as just gentle stretching. Most of it's yoga. The root of these exercises are stretching. Every now and then you'll hear somebody like in the news, newspaper, and it's like, oh, these are great new stretches. There's no new stretches. They've been around for probably thousands of years. So this kind of shows how our brain takes in information. All of our senses of everything we do comes in through your eyes, ears, nose, throat, right? We process it, we swirl it around like it's in a blender, and we decide which things we want to focus on. Most of the time, it seems like as we get older, you're focusing on your health, your finances, weather. Those things can be stressful. So how do we do it? How do we maintain the stress, manage the stress? Got to get out of the chair, do something, stay occupied, physical activity. This has become known more so in recent years in the United States. Asian culture's known it for a very long time. Each of your thoughts can affect a particular organ. So right now, if you're a little you're happy. Hey, I'm doing good. The happiness is good for your heart. If you're angry, you got something that's bothering you, that affects your liver. Easiest example to see how this works is when people are afraid, they gotta use the restroom. It's like, I'm afraid of something. I gotta go use the restroom. I'm sorry?
When you say when people are afraid, what?
If they're afraid, if there's impending fear, oh my gosh, that tornado's coming, the tornado that hit last week. Oftentimes it triggers you gotta use the restroom. You gotta use the restroom. And you'll see it with pets. When pets are really afraid, like it's lightning and thundering,
Don't go to the ladies.
oftentimes a pet will have to, urinate. So it is this way. Emotions do affect your organs. If you're grieving, if you have a lot of sadness in your life, you find yourself kind of sighing more commonly. Sighing affects your lungs. All right. Vitamin D.
Sighing good or bad?
Sighing?
Sighing. Is it good?
Well, any of these things, those are all emotions that you experience.
Uh-huh.
Is fear a good thing? Well, you don't want to be in fear all the time.
Yeah.
Sighing, that's depression or sadness. You don't want to be sad or depressed all of the time. But all of the emotions, you need to have them. Sometimes these days you hear people try to remove all emotions. Like, you shouldn't be angry about anything. You shouldn't be afraid of anything. Well, in a certain amount, yes, that's not good for you. But if you don't know what anger is from being angry, it's kind of hard to know what being happy is. You got to have the contrast. Too much of any of them is not that good. Okay, so let's keep going. Vitamin D. This is a big issue these days. The United States is in a bad place when it comes to people with sunlight. If you live in the southern states, people are trying to stay out of the sun. And then they put on a lot of sunscreen so as not to get sunburn. If you live up north and it gets cold and it's cloudy, people don't want to be outside, they're not getting enough vitamin D. So how do they get it? Either through their food or vitamins, vitamin supplements. Vitamin D, you have to do that in order to make it. You got to either affect your diet, take supplements, or get more exposure to the sun. If you're not getting enough vitamin D, your bones aren't getting as strong. And vitamin D affects your immune system. So again, it's another reason to try to get out of the chair, get out of the house. And this is what happens with your bones. If you put up your bones under tension from exercise, stretching, walking, gardening, anything that's getting you on your feet, it's going to put some tension on the bones. Tension on the bones makes the muscles engage. The bones and the muscles get stronger together. Anybody know what osteopenia is?
Osteopenia?
Osteoporosis.
Yeah.
So osteopenia is the beginning,
Yeah.
right? When you start to get porosity in the bones. Osteoporosis, it is more porosis. So again, if you're not putting your bones and muscles under tension, this is what starts to happen. It's like if you don't use it, you eventually will lose it. You've heard this before, right? So those are the different states of, how much porosity is in the body. It can happen to people in their 40s. I think that's starting to be known these days. People as young as 40 because of them not being as active. Again, just different graphics showing you how if the bones are under tension, they start to get thicker. If you fall on your wrist, fall on your knee, all these different things can affect your ability to be active. Heal your body with your mind. So this is yin and yang, the yin and yang symbol from Eastern philosophy. There's always going to be a balance, right? If you're sharp and you're thinking about your health, you're protecting your body with your brain. If your body is healthy and strong and you have good balance, it's going to protect your brain, your thought patterns. So it has to work together. Holistic health. This is kind of what I've been talking about for many decades, but in the last couple of months I've been doing these talks about sitting, how to stay active and relieve stress. So it's kind of a triangle. You have your, let's start with the fitness, your physical fitness. Your body, you got to keep it healthy and active. That affects your brain, your thought patterns, your emotions. If you have that, it affects your spirituality. I'm not getting into religion or anything. I'm just talking about awareness and having some kind of sense of purpose to get out and be active. So again, this kind of breaks it down into different categories. When we look at knowledge, people are smart. The person is smart. Oftentimes you think of it as being knowledge of what they can say or they remember, how many books they have in their head. Intelligence is actually more of how you use your knowledge. You're not just smart to rattle off figures and facts, but you're adapting it. And that kind of comes into play with exercise. It's like, do you know why you're exercising? Or are you just exercising because people tell you that it's good for you? Are you exercising because you know it's going to help with your balance? It's going to help prevent you from falling. It's going to help prevent osteoporosis. That's using your knowledge to make yourself better, not just knowing facts. Yes?
Does physical activity help the brain memory?
Definitely. It all goes back to that circulation in the cerebral spinal fluid. It's all the same thing. If you keep your body moving, everything is circulating. And the brain relies upon circulation to stay healthy. Okay? So again, this is just kind of breaking down the different things between mind, body, and spirit. So, purpose, your health. There comes a point you're going to retire. Anybody working still? You guys are all retired? I'm on the cusp. I'm like ready to be retired at that age of my life. But then it's like, oh, I'm going to retire. What am I going to do now? Well, you got activities, you got things you can do, relationships, people to see. You got to have some purpose when you retire. Oftentimes when people stop working, they lose that purpose. It's like, I'm not a bank manager anymore, so what am I going to do? Or I'm a colonel in the military, and I'm retired now. It's like I go home, nobody's going to listen to me. So oftentimes people lose their identity when they retire. And that, again, makes them sit in a chair more, watching television more, being depressed more. So if you have something that's going to get you up and out, they call it a calling, a bliss, something you enjoy doing. In Japanese culture, they call it ikigi. It's something that gets you out of bed. Could be your grandchildren. You have grandchildren. Could be volunteer work. Could be coming to my classes. You enjoy learning something new. It could be chess. Some chess club. Whatever it is, it doesn't really matter as long as it's something that gives you a reason to be out, a reason to keep going. On the right here, we have solutions to physical issues, physical problems, mental problems too. You can do nothing, no activity, nothing. I just, when I get injured or I get sick or whatever, then I'll deal with it then. You can be proactive, doing something ahead of time. You can be reactive. You wait until it happens, and then it's a lot harder to manage. So a lot of these things you folks already know. I think one or two of you might be a year older than me. You're younger than me, right? Younger, older, I don't know. Some of these things, you've already been exposed to these things.
I think we're a bit younger than
Yeah,
you.
you know about falling a bit and osteoporosis, right? So exercises, you have static, where you stand in place. They're good. We can do standing exercises. I'll show you a couple. You can do dynamic, where you're kind of standing, but your body's still moving. And then locomotion, you're actually moving your body. Yes?
I read someplace that walking backwards helps your memory.
Walking backwards. So your body is calibrated to walk forward. This is how you're supposed to walk, right? And even then, it's like, is walking really something we should be doing? Because every step is almost a fall, right? So to walk sideways, your body's not really calibrated. Your brain's not calibrated. Your body's not comfortable doing that. So if you can master that, your brain recalibrates. You have to think in order for that to happen. So that's a good thing. So if you're going to walk backwards, it's the same thing. You have to recalibrate your thought in the sensations of your body adjusting so you don't fall. Tai Chi, coincidentally, which is what I teach and promote, has a lot of stepping sideways, where we'll do, set this down for a second here. There's sideways, where you kind of do arm gestures with your feet moving, and then there's walking backwards. But oftentimes you look, and then you move your body. So there's a whole process that your eyes are engaged, so you know that you're in a comfortable area. Then your eyes tell your brain it's okay to move. But if you're just walking backwards, you stumble, you run into something, then you're defeating the purpose. So walking backwards is good. Walking backwards with a purpose or a method is better. So, did I answer your question? Walking backwards is really good for you. Anybody know about Monty Python? Remember Monty Python, the television comedy show? So they had different stories, different skits, and one of them was the silly walking contest. And the guy would walk, and he would like flick his leg up, and he'd like do all this weird stuff, and they would try to outdo each other. It was really funny. British humor is kind of dry humor, right? But that was the gag. It was like goofy walking. How goofy could you come up with? So in recent years, physical fitness trainers have started to do this with their clients. They practice it themselves, and they show other people how to walk silly, because if you can change your thought to try to walk in such a way that's different, you're again recalibrating your brain. And you're getting a certain amount of physical exercise that maybe your hips wouldn't normally walk, you wouldn't move your hips that way when you're just generally walking.
We'll be a sensation in Mayflower. We'll all be walking down.
Yeah, I won't be able to.
You could start it.
There's no interest in my Tai Chi
walking
class,
down there, everybody.
but everybody signs up for the silly walking class. That's what's going to happen, right?
You can walk silly down the hallway.
So,
They all say, ooh, what's wrong with her?
so if you sit in a chair nonstop for like 10 hours a day, even if you get up for lunch and you take a break or two, the medical experts are saying you still need to do about 40 minutes a day to offset that 10 hours. A lot of people can't do that. Even younger people that are in the working environment, they have a hard time doing that. You work for 8 hours or 9, you get an hour for lunch, you come home, you're exhausted, or maybe you have your kids, you got to do activities with your kids or your spouse. Like to exercise, people find it very hard to squeeze in every day 40 minutes. So what I suggest, again, most of you folks have a little time if you're retired. Don't get caught up on like the chunk of 40 minutes. Do 5 minutes. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. 5 minutes, that's how long it takes for you to get a cup of coffee and go sit down at the kitchen table. So you get up, walk over there, stretch a little bit, twist a little bit. If you need to learn some exercises, come to my classes or find them on YouTube. But 5 minutes over the course of the day adds up. Okay? These are different methods that you can do to kind of get you thinking about being more active. Adjust your lifestyle, walks, breaks throughout the day, get up and stretch. If you're sitting, I have one of these at the house, my house, I work at home. I have a desk that the tabletop slides up, so I'm not sitting behind the desk. I can stand and do typing if I'm on the computer. More physical activity, like I said, short little intervals, 5 minutes here. Every time you go and walk a pet, I walk my dog about 10 times a day. That's 5 to 10 minutes of exercise each time I take her out down the street and come back.
The dog is very helpful.
I'm sorry?
He's very healthy, the dog.
Yeah, okay, the downside of having pets, they are also one of the highest risk factors for falling, especially as you get older. So my dog's little Poochie, like 12 pounds, doesn't weigh that much. But occasionally she'll jut out in front of me when I'm walking. She sees a squirrel, and she's like, goes. And then if I step on her, she'll be injured severely, but I have to make sure I don't fall. So oftentimes when people get older, they're lonely. They don't have as many friends around. They don't have a spouse anymore. Whatever the reason, they're lonely. So they have pets. Maybe 1, maybe 5. Tons of pets, dogs and cats everywhere, right? Sometimes the pets, they can't manage them. So they're walking their 3 dogs. You see this, right? And then the dog pulls them and they fall. So be very careful if you have pets. While they can keep you active and provide companionship, they can also be a health issue if you trip and fall trying to walk them. Exercise, appropriate activities. So I'm telling you folks, you gotta get up more. Am I telling you you need to go rock climbing? You need to go climb Mount Everest? No, that's probably not gonna happen. It's not really the appropriate exercise for you. Tennis? One of my friends last week came to visit. He's 65. He's still playing tennis. I was kind of surprised. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. You don't have any neck or back or knee issues? He's like, well, I do have knee problems. So he's staying active, doing something he really enjoys, but his knees are not in the best of shape. So find something that works. Again, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, gentle stretching, those are good exercises as we age because it's not that much impact. And you don't have to do it. It's not yes or no, like you're swimming. I can go swimming in a lake. You swim out, well, you better be able to make it back, right? Yes?
What about golf?
Golf? For the most part, golf is good. It gets people out. There's a little bit of physical activity. You're getting fresh air. You're getting sunlight. You're getting the vitamin D. You're walking. The downside, most golfers only swing one side. You're a lefty, you're a righty. And that goes back to the kinetic linking of the joints. If you do the same motion for however many times, however many years, the same way, chances are the body's going to start to form to that, and that can make things get out of balance. A lot of people that, I live on a golf course, there's a lot of people that I know that are golfers that do pursue other activities to balance it out. Stretching, weight training, symmetrical training. So you're doing both sides, dumbbells, that type of stuff. Anything that helps you balance, okay? Welcome to your new part-time, maybe full-time job, depending upon, how much activity or effort you put into your health. Quality of your health affects your physical fitness. I'm so sick, I can't get up, I can't get out. You're back in that circle, vicious circle. If your goals, you got goals that you want to do things, I want to see the world, it's probably going to keep you more active. It's going to keep you out there. Difference between fitness and health. You can be in good fitness, good physical activity, and at the same time have heart disease, stress, headaches, but you can go and run a marathon or do the triathlon, swim for miles. But at the end of the day, your body's really not that healthy. So it's good to distinguish between the two. When you're young, easy to get away with it. My son was on the rowing team, a D1 rower up at Syracuse. The kids are in phenomenal shape. They row for 3 hours a day, sometimes twice a day, 5-6 days a week, and then they compete. But come Saturday, those kids are hitting the bar. Athletes, football players, rowers, soccer players, you name it. They can perform at a high level, but at the same time they can just get drunk and whole deal, they're able to do it. You get older, it's very much more important to be able to distinguish the two. So when we do some of the different exercises from, say, yoga or Tai Chi, you know, that type of stuff where you're standing, you're not moving, but you're just kind of holding a particular position, it engages the muscles. The muscles are controlled by the nerves. Your nervous system gets stronger. So those type of exercises are really good for managing stress, because you put your body under a certain amount of discomfort. You realize you're not injuring yourself. It's like, okay, this kind of hurts. I'm going to get a little stiff or sore, and then you get stronger from it. So I'm going to show you a couple of exercises. I have quite a few to choose from. This is part of my curriculum of stationary or static exercises. You go into the movement, but you stay there. It's like holding a picture frame, just like they are. And then, like with Tai Chi, there's movement. You're seeing a picture, you know, photograph, but there's movement. Standing on one leg. That's kind of a combination, because you're trying to move, and then you stop, and you try to balance. So it's a combination of both. So I offer all these different things so that people, again, they can find what works for them. If you already have a knee or back issue, you're not going to want to do something that's going to bother it. These exercises might help you. So this one is just standing with your arms up. Some people have shoulder problems. It's hard to hold their arms up like that for more than a few seconds. If you can, you do it, you get stronger from doing it. So these are just some of my classes that are from the past couple of years. This one you use like a beach ball or a volleyball. Everybody sat it down on the floor for that particular exercise, but the next exercise you pick up the ball and you twist and hold it. Stretching. So move it or lose it. It is how it works. You all know this. That's why you're here. It's like if you don't move your body or learn different ways to do it that are appropriate for you, you do end up losing it. So that's the end of that stuff. So we still got a couple minutes here. We're supposed to finish at 11:15. I don't know if the bus is going to leave without you. Where are they going to go? They need you folks, right? So can you all stand up if you want to stand up? Otherwise, you know, just sit in the chair and watch what I'm showing you.
Yeah.
If you want to just stand where you're at, that's fine. You might need a little bit of room. So the thing I was going to talk about from the very beginning was the feet. I kind of started the presentation at the beginning. It was the feet. And then I talked about the midsection. Eventually I talked about the top, right? So if you put your feet together, this is not that stable because you're so straight, right? You don't have enough room to adjust. Move your feet apart about as wide as your hips are. Now you have some stability. Right? You're not going to stand like this all day long. If you're going to stand, if you have to be somewhere, you're standing, you stand with your feet apart. Let your hips and your knees bend a little bit. Right? Relax your shoulders, let them just kind of hang. And if you can, try to shift your hips forward. That's going to put the weight on the ball of your foot. You shift your hips back, that's going to put the weight towards your heel. And you should start to be able to feel this, right? So you go forward. If you need to grab the table or the rail or whatever, that's fine. Do what you need to. But this is a way to challenge and develop better balance. Shift forward, shift back. So now if you shift forward, try to feel your big toe. Feel all the toes.
My shoes. When I lean forward, my toes curl in my shoes.
That's what you want, because that makes them move. Then they move and they grab.
They immediately curl in my shoes even.
And then if you go flat, it should release the toes.
Yeah.
And if you go to your heels, the toes shouldn't be engaged at all. They might even go up. So that little bit of like a rocking motion is really good for your feet. Again, if you just walk, you know, if you're just walking, your feet will do it to some extent, but not as deliberate as what we're doing here. Okay, so now we got our arms. I got this thing with my feet, my hips, my arms. Go up and a little bit forward. When I go down, I shift back. So this motion here, the toes and the feet connect to my arms. Go to the front of your foot, reach for me. Go down, pull down. So if this is up and a little bit forward, you feel the ball of your foot, you go down and back, your weight goes towards your heel. So this will be inhale, This is exhale. So the thought with your breathing, if your arms rise up, you're engaging some of the muscles that help you breathe. Your arms drop, those muscles drop. It's your diaphragm. You're trying to breathe from your diaphragm. And when your arms are here, the diaphragm is easier to engage. You drop, the diaphragm drops. So this will be inhale, exhale. So my chin, again, this is very deliberate. I'm not just flapping my arms, very deliberate. When my arms come up, my chin comes up a little bit. My arms down, my chin down. So I started with the feet, worked my way up to the arms, and now I'm at the head. But the head really affects your spine. So when the head is up, chin is up, your lower back arches. When your chin drops, the lower back gets a bit rounded to it. So rounded, arched, rounded, arched. That's that spinal movement I'm talking about. So here we are. Inhale, chin up. Exhale, chin down. Inhale, exhale. So if we're good with that, take your hands and hold on to a big beach ball. It's right in front of your nose and right in front of your navel. Relax your shoulders. So it's not like I'm holding it this way. I'm gently holding it. So now I'm going to take my hips and I'm going to shift my weight to my left leg. I'm going to squish the ball and then my left hand goes out. Then I go to the other side. Shift. Nose and navel, squish the ball, and then the hand goes to the side. And then we come back to the center and we try it again. So say right now your balance was a little shaky or you're just not comfortable doing this. You could do what I just showed you sitting in a chair. So it's like, okay, Jim, I can't get up and do an hour or 40 minutes or whatever I said earlier, but I can do a minute or two and then I gotta sit down. So you go from here and you would do the same thing, sitting kind of towards the end, and you shift forward, and then you shift back. I grab the ball. I'm not going to shift my hips, but I'm going to bring the arm to the side, catch the ball, squish it, arm goes to the other side. So at least you're getting some movement of your spine and your neck and your shoulders. It'd be better if you stood up, but maybe you need to do it sitting down for a little bit. So you have a reason, to eliminate an excuse. Excuse. Sometimes people don't want to exercise. I can't do it. You can do a little bit in the chair. So now watch. Again, you can sit down if you need to. So this is inhale. My arms are light. Exhale, my arms feel heavy. I shift. I squish the ball. Again, this hand is very light. Feels light. I go to the other side. It's very light. I come back to the center. I roll the ball back. All right? So this is inhale, exhale. So I'm going to shift this way, squish the ball, and then reach out. Back to the center, squish the ball, shift to the other way, and then out. Back to the center, roll the ball down. All right? So those are the moving exercises. I showed you that big chart. I had like 100 exercises, right? That's just one particular one where there's some movement. It's gentle. It's not forceful. And if it's hurt somewhere, you can easily just stop doing it. So to develop a little bit more strength, a static exercise, take your toes and knees, and again, they're about shoulder width apart, and try to sit back like you're putting your rear end in a chair. I got to bring my chair back here. So I'm going to take like 5 seconds to go sit. I'm not going to sit, but I'm trying to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 5 seconds to go back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's one repetition. You try to build up. And then I do another one, and then another one. I get to where I can do 5 of them. And then you wait a day. And the next day, your thighs might be achy. or your rear end a little bit achy. You're like, okay, I can survive that. Next time you try and do 10 of them. And then you eventually do get to the point where you go all the way down, put your rump down. Now I'm resting, so this doesn't count as exercise anymore, but I gotta stand up slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest one, that's kind of cheating, right? So you want to get to where you can do it without that and stand up. So my father-in-law, who's 91 years old, he has to be able to do 10 of those before they'll let him sign up at the gym for gym membership. He wants to exercise. He's 91. He wants to go. He can drive. He drives himself there. They will not let him swim, walk, do the treadmill, weight training, or anything until he can do that. So I understand it. They don't want him to hurt himself, but at the same time, he's trying to get healthy, and he needs to find something that's going to help. So I tell him to walk. That's the best thing he can do. Walk around the neighborhood. So that was movement. That's dynamic. Your movement, the other one, right? This is a little more static, where you're trying to do it really slow, and eventually you're kind of just holding it really slow. But that puts tension on the muscles, tells the bones, hey, we need to stay strong. We need more vitamin D to make the bones strong. It's all connected. It's all in a circle. So you can all sit down, because we're going to finish up. Does anybody have any questions on anything that I talked about, or the slides? You didn't like my artwork? Thought I should have used green instead of blue?
Does walking with weights?
Yes. Yes. That's become more popular these days because the fitness industry loves to make money. So anytime they can do something as a fad to get people to buy more stuff, that it's great for them, right? So wrist weights, you get 1 pound wrist weights, or carry wrist weights, or carry a can of soup. It's lighter, or not lighter, it's cheaper. You have to buy fancy weights. Weighted vests have become more popular. You get this weighted vest that weighs 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds. When you do your walks, it puts more tension on the muscles, puts more tension on your heart though too. Why spend $30 for a weighted vest if you can get a backpack? A lot of people have backpacks these days, right? Ask a kid. Every kid's got a backpack. Ask if you can borrow someone's backpack. Backpack costs, Walmart or Target, you get one for $20. And you can put some stuff in it. Put a couple cans in it.
All right. I have scoliosis.
Yes.
My spine is crooked as a snake.
Okay.
Walk with a cane. Sometimes I don't use a cane, but sometimes I walk with it. So what's best?
Should you not walk with the cane?
No, I mean, as far as scoliosis goes, I can't lean over.
So what is good, again, coming back to the Tai Chi, Yoga, Qigong, or symmetrical stretching. Symmetrical being, it's got to be on both sides. So like what we just did, we did it on both sides. So anything that makes both sides have to match, eventually your back starts to move with that. But you also got to remove the things that are making it twist, which for me, it's that arm on the window when I drive.
Well, I've got one hip that sticks out. And so, pants legs are longer on the left side than they are on the right.
In general, you need to find some type of exercise. Swimming is really good. It is symmetrical because you move both sides. It's not going to give you a lot of strength though. It gives you movement, flow of the blood, which is good. Walking, if you can walk, might be painful. So that's symmetrical. Back to yoga. You can do yoga sitting in a chair, stretching, reaching, trying to keep it the same. If you reach to one side, you got to reach to the other side. So you got to do something that's symmetrical. So yes, we need to finish up. I think I'm getting the kind of finish up. Yes.
What about walking versus bicycle?
Walking is safer because you're not moving, that much locomotion. You're not having to worry about your balance as much. When you're on a bike, you got to worry about balance. You got to worry about stopping. You got to worry about other people that don't watch bikers. So from a physical fitness point of view, walking is probably more efficient as far as burning calories, developing balance, being able to stop and control and walk and go a different direction. Biking, the cat comes in front of you and you try to avoid the cat, you're going to take a spill. I would say walking. Stationary bike, you avoid some of those issues with the public, right? But stationary bicycling versus walking, you're probably going to get twice the benefit from walking. You got to do twice as much walking to the same amount that you would have on a bike, a stationary bicycle. Anything else? So next time, next class, we'll do a little bit more of this, what I just talked about with the stationary exercises, moving exercises, but instead of it being for the last 5 minutes or so, we'll spend probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes doing the exercises. And there'll be Tai Chi and some of the Qigong exercises. Nothing where you got to sit on the floor. Everything is either from a chair or standing. So if you have other questions you'd like to ask about personally, I'll be up at the top when we finish up. So thanks for coming. Be well, be safe.
I have a question.
Yes.
I do a lot of knitting and needlework, so I do it myself by thinking if I sit in my chair and I'm
Alonzo, hey,
move my legs.
we're ready at
Does
the
that help?
library.
It does help.
Oh,
Okay.
That goes back to that
Okay,
accumulation.
thanks.
I said 5 minutes here and there over the course of the day. You got to do it though.
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I sit in my chair and I got my knitting, but I walk in place.
Yeah. That's
And
good.
then I get up.
So if you can move your foot more instead of just
Yeah.
touch, go to your toes, go to your heel, up, toes, heel, up. Then you're getting the
So-
toes and the ankle engaged
So
too.
I also
Yep, that's all good.
this, and I just wondered, does it help or
It does help.
does it make it?
The problem is with a lot of those type of movements, people don't do them enough to get benefits from it. They do it 1 or 2 times, they get bored, and then they got to move on to the next thing to keep them interested. So if you can keep, some discipline in doing it, do it, 4 or 5 times throughout the day. You'll get benefits from doing it. So it all adds up. All right. So anything else? Otherwise, we should finish up. I think they're going to use this for another
10
event
o'clock.
here.